And we want to take you back now to our coverage of the Toronto Budget Committee and a proposal of a record tax hike.
Yeah, one of the provisions included is an added 6% increase if the federal government does not come through with $250 million to care for refugees. Coming to Toronto for more on his thoughts on this, we're joined live by Yvan Baker, the Liberal MP for Etobicoke Centre. Mr. Baker, thank you for making time for CB24 today.
Thanks for having me.
So many have talked about Olivia Chow's big announcement last week, and many have viewed it as an ultimatum, maybe even a threat against Justin Trudeau when she said that she would raise taxes by 6% if the federal government didn't come through for refugees in Toronto. How do you interpret her messaging?
Here's what concerns me, is that this federal government has been the most financially supportive of the City of Toronto of any federal government in history. You can look it up. Those are the facts. It's billions of dollars every year. This year, it'll be close to $3 billion. And to me, the fact that Olivia Chow has gone out there and suggested to people that the federal government is not stepping up, that Liberal MPs in Toronto, of which I am one, have not stepped up, is just patently false. And I find that outrageous. I think it's really important that taxpayers know that the federal government has stepped up, that we've given these billions of dollars to the City of Toronto because we believe in it, and I'll continue to fight for the city. But it's important to know that the federal government and federal MPs have stepped up.
So what exactly should the role of the federal government be in this specific situation?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of the things that we provided funding for, whether it's housing, whether it's asylum seekers, whether it's transit, some of those things are federal responsibility, but some of those things actually are not. And over the years, as MPs, federal Liberal MPs, we've decided that we're going to support those things, even if it's not federal responsibility. Even if past federal governments of all political stripes have said, we're not going to provide funding for that because that's provincial or that's municipal. We've stepped up. That's the degree to which we've stepped up. So I think generally speaking, we should be following the constitutional responsibilities. But our federal government, I and other colleagues, other MPs, have said, you know what? No, that's fine. Constitutional responsibilities aside, we want to go further. We want to do what's right, and we'll support the city. And I believe that we've done that.
You've criticized Olivia Chow's messaging, and you have said that it's the city's responsibility to look after its finances. But COVID was not unique to Toronto. It was not Toronto's fault, and other municipalities are facing the same kind of challenges. So does it look bad on the federal government not coming through for the refugee crisis specifically and leaving the city hanging in this way?
Look, I think we've just as I said, we came through for Toronto. I think we've come through for other cities across the country, but other cities aren't treating us this way. And I think what concerns me is that this approach that Olivia Chow and her team have taken, where they ask for a certain money, let's say for asylum seekers, like they asked for $97 million in the spring, we provided it, and then within a day or two, they were saying, oh no, that's actually the wrong number, it's actually hundreds of millions. And now they're telling us it's $250 million, and maybe it'll be more in the future. To me, that feels a little bit like a shakedown. Like, I am responsible for what the federal government does with its tax dollars, and I can't support sending tax dollars to any level of government or for any cause if I don't know where that money is going, that it's truly going to that cause, and it's going to help those asylum seekers. I fully support supporting the asylum seekers, but I have to know that that's where the money is going.
So how does the federal government view Toronto in terms of, the Canadian economy and being a contributor to the GDP?
Look, I think it's incredibly important. It's the biggest city in our country. It's our economic center. It's the value that Toronto provides economically and otherwise is so significant. And that's why we've advocated, me and my MP colleagues have advocated for Toronto. But I think and I said this earlier, I think it's outrageous that the new mayor has come in. When you have a budget problem at any level of government, the first step, in my opinion, should be to look at your own budget and look for savings before going to the taxpayers for more dollars. And what she's done is instead, she's immediately gone to the property taxpayers, to Torontonians, asked them to pay more, and she's pointing fingers at other levels of government who have come through for her. So from my perspective, in terms of your question, Bakari, about the role of the city of Toronto needs to be supported, just like cities and communities across this country, and I believe that we've done that. But it's not sustainable for the federal government to be providing billions and billions, and each year more and more money. The City of Toronto can't survive on the constant, ongoing, and increasing support of the federal government. That's not sustainable for taxpayers, and that's why I'm voicing this concern.
Let me talk about taxpayers then. As we watch this game of political hot potato, you and the municipal government going back and forth here, do you think the average Toronto resident is just losing confidence in elected officials because all they care about is their services and their taxes?
I hope that's not happening. And if that's happening, that would be really disappointing to me. But what I'm doing here is I'm standing up for my constituents in Etobicoke Centre. And I want them to know what I'm fighting for, where I believe their taxpayer dollars should be going. Over the last few years, the city budget has grown by $1 billion a year. But the quality of services, snow clearing, garbage collection, transit, it's declined for most residents, including my constituents in Etobicoke Centre. And so that to me is another sign that there are savings to be found in the City of Toronto budget, that the spending of the City of Toronto, that there are savings there, that the spending is out of control and needs to be addressed first before you go to taxpayers and raise their taxes or point your finger at another level of government.
All right, Yvan Baker, Liberal MP for Etobicoke Centre. Thank you for stopping by and speaking with us today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.